effect of this is that it will blow apart the whole rotten structure that I've been talking about. This is not government of the people, by the people, for the people. Starmer represents government of the blob, by the blob, for the blob. And when it fails, it will be the blob that failed, not Britain. I think we should be talking about cancelling the Prime Minister, shouldn't we, really? This is the sort of thing, and I'm making a bit of a joke of it, but it's actually a very close line to being serious. This is the kind of thing that got people put in jail back in July.
Keir Starmer comes across less like a genuine political leader and more like a polished presentation given human form. Watching him try to steer the UK feels like watching someone tackle a complex job without grasping the fundamentals, yet behaving with complete confidence. Everything about him feels dull and unmotivating. He works on a technical level, but there is no warmth, no spark, and no clear sense of direction. He is present, yet he leaves people feeling disappointed every single time.
I've never met Keir Starmer, I'm delighted to say, but we have, as they say, previous. At the time of my cancellation back in 2020, Starmer was the only person in public life who wanted poor little Darren Grimes and me to be charged under the Section 6 of the Public Order Act, which I think carries mandatory imprisonment and up to 6 years. That is the measure of the man, the measure of his nastiness, the measure of his desire for vengeance, the measure of...
Then there is David Starkey, a historian known for sharp analysis and relentless focus. Starkey did not just criticise Starmer, he dismantled him piece by piece. He showed how Starmer's reputation for competence rests on very thin foundations. With calm assurance, Starkey peeled back the image and revealed what lay beneath: shallow thinking, recycled talking points, and a style of leadership that offers nothing new. It was not dramatic or loud, it was precise and devastating.
Sentences of up to 6 years. Right. Now, even the Times, that was not very sympathetic, wrote a third leader saying, this is mad. One public figure supported that charge. Sir Keir Starmer,
of course,
ex-DPP. And this is where they are a real, genuine and...
Starmer's biggest flaw is his belief that he is some sort of saviour of moderation, sent to calm Britain's political storms. In reality, he represents very little. His leadership lacks direction, courage and imagination. He is so focused on appearing sensible that he forgets to stand for anything meaningful. There is no passion, no boldness, and no clear vision of where he wants to take the country. His constant need to seem reasonable produces policies that feel hollow and easily forgotten.
Keir Starmer. This constant fact that he harks on about being chief prosecutor. He's not, he's called Director of Public Prosecutions. But chief prosecutor, what does it make him sound like? It makes him sound like a figure out of Stalin's Russia. In Starmer's eyes, he is clearly of impeccable character. He is
Starkey did not need to raise his voice or put on a performance. He simply highlighted what many people already feel. Starmer is not leading anyone. He is managing opinions, softening edges and avoiding risk at every turn. Everything passes through committees, careful phrasing and constant hesitation. Politics under Starmer feels lifeless, like reading a long workplace email that says nothing, yet still insists on your attention.
It is a genuine emergency. There is a constitutional emergency. There is a political emergency. These things are manifestly malfunctioning. The proposals, the new Labour, the renewed Labour, actually it's just old new Labour proposals of Gordon Brown will make a bad situation even worse. They will destroy what little faith there is in politics and politicians. Yes, but with a very heavy heart. Yes to a referendum.
Starmer seems convinced that avoiding strong positions makes him appear wiser and more electable, but you cannot inspire people by being dull and invisible. He appears to believe that if he stays still for long enough, people will see him as a serious authority figure. Instead, the public is left confused, unsure whether he is thinking, hesitating, or simply afraid to act. Nothing about his approach creates confidence or excitement.
Starmer's quite extraordinary. He's like a kind of speak your weight machine. What are they? We have working people. We have dear me. I've heard them so often. My father is a toolmaker. All these phrases constantly recurring, almost as though it's a kind of computer. It's almost like I've used an old-fashioned phrase, to speak your weight machine. He's a kind of AI, but he's not. AI would do it very, very much better. Very much better, because Starmer is something different.
His constant shifts in position only make matters worse. One day he talks about major reform. The next day those promises quietly vanish behind vague, corporate-style language. He speaks as though he is already apologising for decisions he has not even made yet. The only thing he stays consistent on is inconsistency itself. Starkey spotted this straight away and made it clear he was not deceived. Every time Starmer speaks, the atmosphere sinks. He does not engage with people, he analyses them. It feels as though he is calculating responses rather than listening. Put him in an everyday social situation and the mood would instantly become awkward.
The problem is, and this is, we're going back to Starmer or whatever, the left in particular just believe in a culture of words. The absurd dispute about Elon Musk and doing that, or rather that, which shows he's a fascist. Here is a man who has just spent £44 billion making sure that X has freedom of speech. I don't think freedom of speech was very high on Adolf Hitler's list. But it's the entire left is about words and gestures.
Remarkably, Starmer has managed to make Jeremy Corbyn look energetic by comparison. At least Corbyn seemed to believe in something, even when people strongly disagreed with him. Starmer comes across as someone permanently stuck in a political training programme where every policy is provisional and every answer is carefully managed. Yet he still expects public support. Support for what exactly? His message often feels like nothing more than "I'm not the alternative." He does not feel like a leader. He feels like someone merely holding the role until someone else turns up.
Starmer, as the Baldwin biography makes clear, has fundamental and indeed fundamentalist beliefs. He is a believer in the supremacy of law. That doesn't actually mean the supremacy of law. It means the supremacy of lawyers, of people like him. He believes that basically human society should be constructed according to rules made by people like him, which are enforced by people like him, and prevent anybody else who is not like him from having a say in anything. And it's through the device of this strange thing called human rights law.
Starkey, a man rooted in serious thought and historical understanding, was not willing to let this pass. He stripped away Starmer's public image layer by layer, only to uncover more emptiness underneath. Behind the scripted phrases and polished statements is someone who stands for little beyond avoiding offence. But avoiding offence is not leadership. When you refuse to stand firm, you end up bending to everything. One week Starmer speaks on behalf of workers. The next he reassures bankers. One moment he talks about climate responsibility. The next he quietly sidesteps powerful interests. Starkey made it clear this is not strength. It is collapse dressed up as caution.
What I'm really struck by, much though I detest this government, the situation that it's finding itself in is actually starting to force it to think. It's doing it very reluctantly. The whole bias of the Labour Party is the welfare party. It pretends to be the party of work, yes, but in fact it's the party of state.
Meanwhile, Starkey arrived armed with facts and history, pointing out that Starmer's greatest achievement seems to be making people forget that Labour once stood for firm principles. Starkey did not go after him with anger. He dismantled him calmly, guided by history. He reminded viewers that Britain has known real leaders, people with courage, clear convictions, and the strength to defend them. Measured against that standard, Starmer looks completely out of place. His habit of sitting on the fence has left him stranded on every major issue. Brexit, the economy, immigration, education, it always follows the same predictable pattern. First, he says something vague. Then, he waits to see the reaction. Next, he explains himself by saying even less. After that, he blames poor communication. Finally, he smiles awkwardly and moves on without resolving anything.
It's exactly this. And instead, what Starmer has done is to dare to go back to fundamentals. But does he know what he's doing? Does he really, well, he does now, know what an extraordinary can of worms he's opened? I mean, part of the problem, isn't it, is Starmer is a man with absolutely no sensitivity to language. Starmer did not write this speech. Of course he didn't. Starmer doesn't write any of his speeches. He thinks and talks like an automaton. Somebody has put these words in his mouth.
By now, many Labour supporters no longer get angry. They respond with weary disappointment. They hoped for leadership and instead got hesitation. Starmer's version of opposition politics feels weak and unconvincing. Even his political rivals seem taken aback that this is someone they are meant to fear. And when Starmer appears in public, the preparation is painfully obvious. Every word seems rehearsed. Every pause feels calculated. Yet despite all that effort, his speeches fall flat. There is no passion, no connection with the audience, and no sense of urgency. What comes across instead is fatigue and a lack of belief in what he is saying.
So Starmer and I have previous. How's he gone so badly wrong? Well, several people, I mean, if you think of Rosie Duffield's magnificent letter, she points out that this is a man who is now Prime Minister of the country who had no political experience. He is also not simply a lawyer. Everybody said to me, how on earth can this man be a QC? How can he be so, well, A, dumb, and B, how can he be so bad at public speaking? You know, from nasal wine. Well, I suppose he can't help that he comes from Reigate, but that's or indeed, my father was a tool maker too, but I did something about it, I suppose. But what has gone wrong with Starmer is that A, he's not very clever.
Starkey didn't need to raise his voice to make his point. He simply reflected Starmer back to the audience as he truly is. What they saw was a leader who doubts every firm conviction, someone whose main political skill is dodging clear answers. His entire career seems built on being just interesting enough to stay visible, but never strong enough to upset anyone. Britain needs leadership, not comfort. Yet Starmer continues to talk about rebuilding trust, as if voters have forgotten that he walked away from many of the promises that helped him win the Labour leadership. It feels like asking for applause after everyone already knows the trick no longer works. The result isn't renewed faith, it's growing indifference.
Starmer's something completely different. He's our first totally non-political Prime Minister. He embodies something, I think, completely new in British politics that we've never seen before, and we're already realising just how dreadful it is. What Starmer is the incarnation of all the fundamental changes that have taken place in our constitution, a kind of behind-the-scenes revolution since Blair. Starmer has a real set of values. He believes in the rules. Theresa May believed in the rules, but Starmer's are a much more structured, much more focused set.
Whenever Starmer talks about change, it feels empty and vague. He uses the word often but never clarifies what it actually means. Change from what and towards what remains unanswered. His statements come across as mechanical and detached, as if written to fill space rather than inspire action. Starkey didn't need a long response. His quiet reaction said it all. Starmer's message lacks energy and substance. It feels bland, overworked, and unfinished all at once. Yet he stands there expecting praise, as if he has offered something bold. The public response tells a different story. People aren't inspired. They are already looking for alternatives.
We've seen through them. We are all now the little boy crying out, "The emperor's got no clothes." And Starmer is marching stark naked, repeatedly stripped off, telling lie after lie after lie, which we all know are lies. This is why trust in politics is collapsing. People know they're being...
What makes it worse is that Starmer genuinely seems to believe his approach is effective. He speaks with the confidence of someone convinced he has solved every problem through careful planning alone. His speeches lack warmth and personality, yet he delivers them as if they are winning hearts and minds. Many listeners are left confused, unsure who he is meant to connect with. Starkey didn't need to exaggerate anything. He simply pointed out the obvious. Starmer is so cautious, so neutral, that he fades into the background. The harder he tries to appear calm and above the chaos, the more forgettable he becomes. He wants to be seen as thoughtful and steady, but instead comes across as distant and uninvolved.